The news. This week on the news, we are going to be doing a little bit of a recap of all of the opt-ins, opt-outs, player options, managers, fires and hires, and we're going to cover a lot of that stuff because I realized so much of it happened during the playoffs and I didn't comment on it yet. First up, let's talk about the Rockies. Now, like I mentioned, DK wrote an article for the Substack, so you can check it out. It is exploring this a little bit more. But after 3 straight seasons of 100-plus losses, including the MLB organization worst 119 losses this last season, the Rockies have announced that they are moving on from the general manager, Bill Schmidt, who they hired in 2021, and who has been with the organization since 1999. Now, that is a theme with the Colorado Rockies. Hire from within, hire from within, hire from within. I know that guy. He makes me feel comfortable. Now it's his job. Okay, the Wall Street Journal's Jared Diamond put out a quote in a tweet that's explained this job perfectly, I think, and you'll be able to read it right here, but I'll read it for you just in case you are listening on the audio version of the show. I need you all to understand, he says, how many very smart people in baseball view running the Rockies as a dream job. It's the ultimate challenge, trying to figure out how to build a winner in that environment. Smart executives are tantalized by it. They want to prove that they can do it. I myself am also really interested in this problem because when you have a place that's that unique to play in, you can make it an advantage if you get creative. It blows my mind that they have not even attempted that. Not only have they not attempted it, they haven't attempted to stay up with baseball innovation at all. So, which I've heard through the grapevine and through anecdotal evidence of people who've played there. So that's interesting to me that guys are making proposals in that way. I'm actually going to do a video over this winter where I am going to frame it as if I were pitching for this job. I'm not pitching for that job, okay? I'm not angling for it. So there is more happening here in the process. The 2 reported finalists, the Diamondback assistant GM Amiel Sadai. I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly. I will amend that if it is a problem in the future. Guardians assistant assistant GM Matt Foreman. Both were interviewing for the job, and neither one of them are any longer in the running for the position. One declined an offer, and the other one dropped out. So we don't know why they did those things. Maybe they have better jobs. Maybe they were just like, maybe they were like, yeah, I'll take it. And then some better thing came along because they didn't think they were going to have creative control on how to do the thing. But the other name that is very interesting, and speaking of pitching, that has been mentioned connected to it is friend of the Mayday and friend of mine, Adam Ottavino. I was recently on his live stream. You should check that out. He loves to just break down baseball. It's really fun. We're going to do that a lot more in the future. He was reported on Tuesday that Ottavino had conversations with owner Dick Monfort about the position, which, let's just say, piqued my interest. And we actually reached out, and he gave us a comment. What a guy. He's a 15-year MLB vet. He was after appearing for 3 games last year with the Yankees, he decided to hang them up. I don't know if that's official. And now he has his own baseball show on YouTube called Baseball and Coffee. So check that out. He's got a strong connection to the Rockies. He came up with them. He was there from 12 to 18. But here's the quote he gave to DK via text. He said, "The Rockies thing is fun, but probably not going anywhere." Classic. That was a very Adam Ottavino answer. But here's what Ottavino said about pitching Coors Field in an interview with me on my Cut in the Diamond podcast from this last year. Quote, at Coors Field, let's see if we can get this up there. Yeah, right. At Coors Field, you have to anticipate a lower break and set up your pitches a little differently. If you want them to chase something below the zone, you have to throw a fastball down there to get them to swing because it's not as much of a difference in break. I want to understand it. I want to figure it out. I'm probably a guy who took it most seriously and therefore was able to combat it better than guys who were in denial about it. Interesting. I remember the denial part of that quote, and I remember thinking, why would you deny it? You just got to look at the TrackMan and know that it's real. That seems goofy. So interesting. If Otto kind of was able to get in there and sneak in and take that job, that'd be great. But you know what? GMing and like being in charge of an entire organization, not for everybody. Like it's not something that everyone wants to deal with, especially when you have to deal with like poking and prodding an owner to do things. It's just like who would want to GM for the Pirates? You know what I mean? Like Ben Sherrington's there because he's okay dealing with Bob Nutting. I genuinely think people are like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to deal with that guy. So I totally get it. All right, let's talk about the manager carousel. What has changed in team management since we spoke last? Okay. Number one, Mike Shildt from the Padres. He is out. He kind of surprised a lot of people, myself included, by kind of just abruptly retiring on October 13th after 2 years as the Padres manager, even though I literally did the same thing. So I don't blame him. I'm sure it's just a decision. It was like, this ain't it anymore. And I totally understand it. I still hope he finds something where he gets to hold his pad of paper and his pen at all times, because I don't think I've ever seen him put it down. The Padres made the playoffs in both seasons he was there, so he was successful. There's no doubt that he wouldn't, be able to get another job in the future, but it is what it is. So they do not know who their next manager is, so we're going to pay attention closely to that. Back to the Rockies, all right? The Rockies fired Bud Black earlier in the year after being 7-33. Yikes. And then they named Warren Schaefer as the interim manager. They have not chosen anyone else, so as of right now, Warren Schaefer is the manager. We'll see what they do, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they want to figure out the GM, the president of baseball operations, and all the other moving pieces before they hire a manager, because that person's going to have input. So that's probably why we don't know yet. But I mean, he technically did do a better job, or had a better winning percentage. Not by a lot, but he did. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Braves. They also had a tough year this year. And as we know, Brian Snitker is out. But he ended up just not having his contract renewed. So this wasn't a resigning situation or whatever. They just probably mutually decided that he would move up into the front office role, more of a, probably not assistant GM, but special assistant, maybe liaison type of guy. This happens a lot. Paul Molitor has a role like this with the Twins, for example. And so he is no longer the manager, and their new manager is Walt Weiss. Weiss is the favorite, or not guaranteed, but the favorite to be the next manager is Walt Weiss. Or no, he is. Sorry. There is a typo in this. Okay, that is on me. Weiss, I knew this. I knew he had signed it. Okay, Weiss is the favorite because he is the manager moving forward. Joined Atlanta in 2018 as a bench coach, and he was just Snitker's right-hand man. So Snitker moves up, and then Weiss slots in behind him. Normal job. I think this was an aberration of a season for the Braves. I think they still have their young core. A bunch of guys were just struggling at the wrong times, and then when guys got going, other guys started to struggle, so they never really got to make a run, even though they did finish pretty strong. But I think a fully healthy, rested Spencer Strider's going to make a big difference. A Michael Harris, more consistent Michael Harris, they're going to be right back in that conversation in the AL East, and should be really interesting next year. The Nationals, we know about their big firing of their manager in the middle of the year, and their GM with Mike Rizzo and him buying beers for people around the All-Star game. They have hired, and that's Dave Martinez, and they had Miguel Cairo was the interim after that. They decided to go ahead with Blake Butera, who is 33 years old. For context, that is 3 years younger than me. I was a senior in high school when Mr. Butera was a freshman. That is crazy for me to think about. And he is the youngest manager since 1972. He was most recently a senior player development manager for the Rays. And he's managed 4 minor league seasons, the first at 25 years old, and he is 258 and 144 in his career with 4 first place finishes. So he's found success. He thinks outside the box. That's very clear. This is going to be a really, really interesting thing to see play out because, again, managers don't make all the decisions. They don't get to drive the bus as much as we think they do. So it'll depend on how he operates with the guys upstairs. But I like this. It's a bold move. They went for it. That's a outside the box thing. So I like to see this stuff in baseball more.
Hey, we've told you about Huel's new Daily Greens ready to drink can, but also we do not want to forget about the OG
Your
the
favorite.
Black
You love that chocolate peanut butter
I
flavor.
do.
You and Kratz love that chocolate peanut butter flavor.
That's
So
my favorite
good.
one. Mm-hmm.
It's so
The
good.
breakdown.
The vanilla, also good. But when they sent me the chocolate peanut butter, it's like a dessert. But it's not.
35 grams of protein, no added sugar, gluten-free for your boy, under $5 per meal because it's a meal and a drink. 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the exclusive code FOUL at Huel.com/foul. Use that code, fill out the post-checkout survey to help support FT. Get after it, FT fam.
Continuing on, Twins, Derek Shelton. A lot of Twins fans I've seen out there are a little bit confused by this play. They think that coming from the Pirates, he was an unsuccessful manager for the Pirates. Why would we hire him? Forgetting that Derek Shelton was the bench coach behind Rocco Baldelli and with Wes Johnson as the pitching coach in 18 and 19. And he was the bench coach for the 101 win team in 2019. So he has been in the Twins organization before, and he did a great job there. Not only that, they were kind of a three-headed monster. It wasn't just Rocco making decisions and then giving input. Like, they were kind of just like all together, 3 inputs, same kind of weight, making decisions out on the field. And I'm a big believer in Derek Shelton. I think that he knows what he's doing. I don't think that we're going to see a drop-off in decision-making or player development with Derek Shelton, with Rocco moving on. I think it just comes down to they need to figure out their front office-y situation with how we're spending money and how we're building our team, and then hoping everything goes right, because everything went wrong last year. But I think Derek Shelton can do a good job, and he's got enough experience, and he just got zero support from the front office in Pittsburgh because they refuse to give any. That's just the way it is. So I could be biased because I am friends with him, and I appreciate him a lot, but I do think he has the talent to be a winning manager, and he is a solid. You're not going to lose much there, is what I'm saying. Moving on to the Orioles. They have their new manager after Brandon Hyde was fired in May and Tony Manzolino, young Manzolino, took over as an interim. Craig Albernaz, 42, was associate manager for the Cleveland Guardians. That means bench coach, but Guardians are always making up corporate names for all their coaches. And they won the Central last year. He was actually the front runner for the Guardians for a long time before Stephen Vogt, who ended up being the manager, took over. So now he's getting his real chance. And if you really look at him, he looks familiar, doesn't he? He's always up there standing next to Vogt. You see him a lot. And the Giants made the biggest splash, in my opinion, in the manager market when Bob Melvin was fired after the regular season, because they did end up not getting into the playoffs when they probably should have with the talent they had. And they hired Tony Vitello, who has been the manager, the coach of the Tennessee Volunteers college baseball team. First manager ever to go directly from college head coaching job to a major league team without prior MLB experience. He never played I don't think he played professionally, but the 47-year-old turned around Tennessee, taking the Vols to 3 super regional appearances and winning the 2024 Men's College World Series last year. You may remember them for their antics, but everyone speaks very highly of this gentleman. He knows what he's doing. He is on the cutting edge of development, and he brings an energy that maybe is needed. But he is about to enter a clubhouse with Matt Chapman and run by a team managed by GM'd by Buster Posey. These guys are vets, and they're more old school. I don't want to say old school, traditionalists. Like, don't be flashy, put your heads down, just do your work, whatever. So it's going to be very interesting how those leaders glom on, or how they operate together. But by everything I've heard, this guy is a player's, like, he is a, you guys do it, and I am here to be a support umbrella kind of thing, right? Like, you guys, whatever atmosphere you need to have to win baseball games, I'm gonna put you in that position, and then I'm gonna protect you. And that is what they need. Like, that is what they need. I myself had a pitching coach come straight from college in Wes Johnson. One of our biggest critiques or biggest worries was how rah-rah college is going to be. Because in the major leagues, you play so many games that you can't do that. Like, you can't operate off of adrenaline and energy all the time like you can in college. So we wanted to see, like, how much of that there was. And it turned out Wes understood the assignment and immediately came as like, hey, guys, You tell me what you want and need to do, and then I'm going to find ways to slot in some maybe outside the box information. And he was amazing. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for Wes. And he ended up going back to college because that was more his, like that was the kind of the age group he liked to work with. But I have no doubt in my mind that this guy will also do that thing, and it'll be more of a breath of fresh air. And I think he can fit in really well. I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I just want to put that out there. Last couple quick ones here. The Angels hired Kurt Suzuki, my first catcher in the big leagues, which is crazy to think about. And he has the face of someone who was just hired by the manager of the Angels. I don't know what they're doing over there. We have the Perry Manassian quotes about Kikuchi and the just kind of like not acknowledging that there was an issue and that Kikuchi loves it there or whatever, which is just, I'm sure, for Angels fans, wildly annoying because it's like, dude, can we just say, yes, this is happening and we're working on it? Instead, we have to act like it's not real because it's a PR thing, and then just look worse. And for a team that constantly has talent and constantly underperforms and constantly makes the wrong decisions, I love Kurt. I think he's going to do a good job. I just hope he doesn't walk into this nightmare of a mess where he's like, oh, what do you want me to do with this, right? I think that's what's happening with the manager carousel here. So hopefully this face he's making isn't indicative of what is up to come. And then we have the Rangers hiring Skip Schumacher, who seems very happy to be there after Bruce Bochy was done, decided to be done, mutually agreed to end the tenure. So Skip Schumacher takes over. And as you remember, last time Skip Schumacher managed the team, they went to the playoffs, and it was the Marlins. So he's done a good job. I'm glad he's getting another opportunity too, because I think that he deserves it. And he was never going to be given another opportunity with the Miami Marlins. That was a one-year thing no matter what. I thought he didn't deserve that. And so it's awesome to see that he has this now. All right. Let's just quickly go through some options and some things the players went through and whether or not I think they're crazy or not crazy or surprising. Not a lot here that is surprising, but a lot of moving pieces for free agency. So these are player options. We got the guys who opted out of their player options, meaning that basically a player option is the player decides whether or not they want to take whatever's on the paper or move on. The team option means the team gets to choose whether they want to go off the paper or move on. And then mutual means both of them have to agree to move forward. If one of them doesn't, then it is void, right? So those are the three ways to do options. Veterans usually have player options. Guys who sign team friendlies usually have team options. That's usually how it works. So the earlier you sign it, the more more likely it is to be a team option on the back end. So we have Pete Alonso opting out. That was pretty predictable. Cody Bellinger also had a good year. Probably wants to get more money. Pete thinks he can get more money. I think there's a pretty good market for first baseman. So that is interesting to me. Alex Bregman opted out. That surprised me a little bit more. I thought maybe he'd go one more year, but he did have a really good year. Basically, they're going year by year. If you have a good year, you just basically jump off the train when you have the platform year that can maybe get you a longer term deal. So these all make sense. Sugar Diaz, interesting because he's already the highest paid closer or second highest paid closer. He's up there. So to opt out to try to get more money was always interesting, but he had another great platform year. So someone could use him. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, though, if his contract just gets restructured with the Mets. Like, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. He has bargaining power now, but if someone else can get him, closers are, as we saw, bullpen guys are important for going on the playoffs. Ha-Seong Kim opted out, which was the most surprising because he had kind of a lost season. I don't know how that one's going to work out, but he is good defensively, and maybe he sees an opportunity. Maybe he knows something we don't. And then Robert Suarez had another great year. He's another closer. It's a good market to go out there and be closers. Him and Edwin going out make a lot of sense to me. Guys who opted into their deals. Shane Bieber decided to come back for his player option with the Blue Jays. Smart, because he started to look much more sharp towards the end there. Jack Flaherty, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., AJ Minter, Frankie Montas, Tyler O'Neill, Wandy Peralta, and Trevor Story. All guys that don't probably think they can get more money on the free agent market, or they like where they are. And I think that's smart. AJ lost his entire year. Frankie Montas definitely should take his freaking option because he's not going to get an offer from anyone else. And Jack Flaherty, maybe Jack Flaherty could have, but I think that's a smart move too. So none of that's really crazy outside of Ha-Seong Kim. All right, team options. Of the options that were accepted by the teams, Ozzie Albies, Andres Munoz, Freddie Peralta, Brooks Raley, Louis Robert Jr., and Chris Sale. Now, the Louis Robert Jr. one will always continue to surprise me. I don't know. It's $20 million. They're just trying to keep him forever. I guess. They're like, we're going to be good soon, and he's going to be the guy. Okay, whatever you want. Ozzy Albies had his team option again. He signed a mega team friendly. His is finally coming to the end of it, but he has team options, so they're just going to keep saying, sure, Ozzy, we'll give you $7 million. Like, he's still being underpaid. That stinks for him, or it might be a little more 7. It was 7 a year for the first 5 a year for 7 years, something like that, something bad, and it's gone up a little bit. So them taking it is pretty great. But there was one big option decline, was interesting. Shota Imanaga, he also declined his side of it too. So he's going to become a free agent. Starting pitchers out there, he might be one of the guys that some competing teams will go after and maybe give a little bit extra more money to. That is really interesting to me. And then there's William Contreras was his decline, Jared Duran, and Kyle Hart. So there's some weird ARB things going on in tenders here happening, but all of those guys could potentially be on teams in the future. But the big one for me is Shota Imanaga joining the free agency pool. There's something interesting there with Ranger Suarez. We're going to do a lot of free agency stuff later, but I just thought this was interesting. And then finally, a last piece of news, Yu Darvish going to miss the entire 2026 season with Tommy John, and he is already 38 years old. So the Padres had their manager retire. They had both Dylan Cease and Michael King opt out of their contracts. So who knows what's going to happen to the Padres? I sure as heck don't. They got quite a few free agents going out of there too. So worth it looking to. But I lied. Actually, Yu Darvish isn't 38. He's 39. So who knows how he'll come back. He's having a surgery with Keith Meister, though. And that guy's the man. He did this guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came back stronger than ever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Padres. We'll have to pay attention because pitchers and catchers report in like 95 days. That's great.